Villa de Leyva. It ranks up there with Cartagena for its beautifully preserved colonial architecture. Every building, old and new, is whitewashed and covered with Spanish barrel roof tile. The town square and surrounding streets are laced with 16th and 17th century cobblestone, which instantly transports you back into time. Many of the buildings have been converted to hotels, restaurants, shops, and museums, making Villa de Leyva one of the most sought-out tourist destinations in Colombia among foreigners and Colombians themselves. Plaza Mayor, the town square, is one of the largest in Colombia and holds festivals year-round. We were lucky to see a modern Latin jazz festival over the weekend during our stay. Just outside of town are many quiet fincas for camping, a few boutique museums and gardens, and the world's largest clay house ever constructed, Casa Terracota. That in itself is a sight to see. Sitting at about 7,000 feet in elevation, its weather is a bit cooler than Medellin and a little warmer than Bogota. I'd have to say, it's about perfect. What's unique about this town isn't just how beautifully preserved its colonial architecture is, but the level of customer service you will find at hotels and restaurants. Especially if you're a gringo like me, coming from Gringo Land, it's relieving to receive a level of service that matches the vibe of the place you're experiencing. And most importantly, if you've been a follower of our channel, you know how much we love hiking. The hike to Mirador El Santo is spectacular, and you'll make a few furry friends along the ascent. Before this trip, we heard so much about this small tourist town and just had to see it for ourselves. And after experiencing it, we must admit, if you're traveling to Bogota or Colombia in general, it's one of our top recommendations. Villa de Leyva is a little place tucked away in the Andes Mountains and gives you a glimpse of the quieter, sweeter, and more humble side of Colombia. Day 1 from Bogota to Villa de Leyva. It's as simple as taking a bus from the North Terminal in Bogota to Villa de Leyva. The ride itself is about 3.5 hours, and the bus costs approximately 30,000 pesos or $8 US. The bus drops you off at the town's terminal, which is located about 4 blocks away from the main square. And as soon as you arrive, you're instantly surrounded by colonial charm and tourist energy. Our first stop was lunch at Chusca. Highly recommended if you're interested in a fancier or elevated version of Colombian food, and then to divulge in one of the staples of Villa de Leyva, a milhoja. Milhoja means 1,000 sheets, and it's a dessert that is made of layers of puffy pastry and cream, then covered with either arequipe, chocolate, or almond icing. Although there are many shops selling milhojas, the two competitors that are neck and neck with each other, because the owners used to work with each other, are La Galleta y Bon Bon. And because of this, we had to test the competition. Our preference was Bon Bon. This is because 1, La Galleta only sells arequipe milhojas, while Bon Bon sells other flavors like chocolate and almond. Since we don't love arequipe, Bon Bon instantly won us over with the flavor choices alone. The second reason we like Bon Bon is because the sheets or puffy pastry are way more crunchy at Bon Bon versus La Galleta. The firm, crisp texture with each bite just makes you want more and more. That's our opinion and preference, but they are both pretty damn good either way you go. After increasing our blood glucose levels, it was time to walk to our first accommodation, just outside of town at the camping ground San Jorge, a peaceful and clean finca perfect for our needed dose of nature. We set up camp, got familiar with the finca, then afterward, headed back into town for the evening. These old colonial buildings house several restaurants and small food malls with classy, cozy vibes. By the end of the day, we came to realize this is a great place if you are a foodie. So, if you are a foodie, please put this place at the top of your list if you're considering to visit Colombia.
Day 2 started with a peaceful morning at the Finca San Jorge. We observed the plant life, listened to the birds, watched the dogs play, then ate a tasty breakfast, which was included in our stay. Shortly after, we headed back into town. On the way, we stopped by Museo Paleontologico de Villa de Leyva, where we learned that Villa de Leyva and the surrounding area is popular for the discovery of several prehistoric creatures. It also had a very large garden to explore, and there we spent a good deal of time observing the jaw-dropping amount of plant species. Afterward, we made our way to the town center, Plaza Mayor. We snapped some more pictures because, why not? We then decided to check out the largest ceramic structure in the world, located just west of the town, Casa Terracota. Built by a now famous artist, Octavio Mendoza Morales, he and his team used over 400 tons of mud to construct the thing, and it took nearly 15 years to finish the house. I guess that's not too different than paying down a 15-year mortgage. But to do so, they literally had to heat up bricks in a fire pit and stack them against the molded mud walls to cook the formation of the house. The amount of creativity and ingenuity that went into building this thing just makes you question the way you live your own life. Like, why am I not making something this awesome or epic? Unfortunately, Octavio and his family didn't live in this house for very long after its construction. Just about 6 months, actually. This is because the uniqueness of the house made the townspeople all too curious, and they kept showing up uninvited and just entering the home without permission, even while they were bathing themselves. It's clear by the story here that trespassing laws don't quite get enforced the same in Colombia as they do in the US. Shortly after, it became a tourist destination and remains that way to this day. The rest of our day consisted of eating more food, walking every colonial street more than once, and just appreciating every single crack and corner of this cute and quaint town.
Day 3, it too started with another peaceful beginning at the Finca. However, this time we had to pack up the tent and head to a cozier and more luxurious stay at a popular hotel, CA. After walking around so much the day before and making the 30-minute walk from San Jorge to CA with all our stuff, we decided to just enjoy the cozy hotel for a few hours before continuing our exploration of Villa de Leyva. For lunch, we ate at Mercado Municipal, a very popular restaurant in town that had been recommended to us. Although the space was peaceful and the portions were large and the food's presentation was immaculate, we did think the food was lacking in flavor, and it was a bit on the expensive side as well. Since we are foodies to some extent, in contrast, we did end up eating twice at Tierra de Carnes, where the meat was incredibly delicious, better than Mercado Principal, and less expensive. In fact, we visited Villa de Leyva again after this trip, and we ended up eating at Tierra de Carnes because it was that good. The remainder of day 3, we continued to explore the streets of Villa de Leyva and really absorb all the live music that was going on. Since this day was Sunday, the town was more crowded than usual, and if you're unfamiliar with Colombian culture, it is very common for families from larger cities to explore or enjoy smaller towns on the weekends and especially on a Sunday. In comparison to the weekends, the crowds were crazy large, but that also meant more activity, like all the live music. On top of it all, there was a Latin jazz festival going on over the weekend during our visit. We had to stop and really soak in all the tunes.
Day 4 started with a more intense activity, waking up at the crack of dawn and hiking to Mirador el Santo. For those of you who have watched our channel, you know that we could never be short on doing a hike. It's super accessible from the town. Several locals were going up and down the trail, and you'll make plenty of furry friends along the way. Unlike many hikes near large cities like Bogota or Medellin, this one felt incredibly safe and approachable. Now that we had explored nearly every street of Villa de Leyva more than once, we decided to hop over to another nearby town for the day, Raquira. Because this town is known for pottery and ceramics, we took a ceramics class, where we attempted to make a vase that ended up looking more like a cup, or at least that's what we think it ended up looking like. Overall, it's a great way to have some dirty fun. Speaking about dirty fun, this town is obsessed with making ceramic penises and ceramic water fountains of little boys or men peeing. It's not every day you get to walk outside of a colonial Catholic church to then observe a water fountain of a little ceramic boy peeing from the doorway of the church.
Day 5, we just started the day slow, ate breakfast slow, and revisited our favorite streets of Villa de Leyva before saying goodbye this time around. In conclusion, if you were in Colombia and you can squeeze Villa de Leyva into your itinerary, you've got to do it. It has been one of our favorite towns in Colombia thus yet because of how peaceful, quaint, charming, and beautiful this place really is. Villa de Leyva is a little place tucked away in the Andes Mountains and gives you a glimpse of the quieter, sweeter, and more humble side of Colombia.
Thank you for tuning in. Villa de Leyva is in the department of Boyaca, which is a place that's really close to my heart. My grandparents are from Boyaca, so I grew up visiting a lot of smaller towns within the department, especially for New Year's and for my birthday. But as a teenager, I didn't really appreciate all of the things that the department has to offer. I was kind of like pissed that I was the kid that had to run around hills and milk cows and ride horses, and my friends were at the beach. But now that I'm older, looking back at all of the things that I experienced in the department of Boyaca in the smaller towns, I really appreciate all of the experiences that I have and all of the memories that I have, because that's kind of like the life that I want to have. I want a more peaceful life in the mountains with warmer people and service-oriented people like it is the people of Boyaca and the people of Villa de Leyva. So going back to Boyaca and reflecting back on my experiences as a teenager has been really good to appreciate all of the things that I didn't back then and that I do now. So I really hope you enjoyed our video of Villa de Leyva.
I didn't see this hole. I just like stepped into it.